Today, I'm going to take 8 vials of my own blood and add to that blood venom from 3 of the most potent pit vipers here in the United States. We have a medic that is going to stick me with a needle and draw out these 8 vials of blood. And right now I'm feeling very, very nervous and a little squeamish. And I might pass out during this process. Okay, here we go. Giving my blood for science.
Today we are at the Reptile Discovery Center, located in DeLand, Florida. This serpentarium is home to several of the world's most dangerous snakes. And earlier today, I assisted in milking the venom of 3 pit vipers that are frequently encountered in the eastern United States. The copperhead.
Oh, that was fantastic.
The water moccasin.
Gonna get musk on? Okay.
And the eastern diamondback rattlesnake.
Whoa! That was a serious venom yield right there.
Normally, this venom is sent to their med toxin venom laboratory, where it is turned into life-saving antivenom. But today, we're going to perform an experiment unlike anything you have ever seen.
Okay, crew is all set up. All right, guys, so today's experiment is going to show us what happens when snake venom mixes together with human blood. I've always been curious, what happens when a snake bites you and that venom enters into the bloodstream? So today, what we're gonna do is take 8 vials of my blood. We're gonna create a control, and then we're going to mix venom into 3 different vials and show you exactly what happens. I know, it seems like, Coyote, get to the point already. I'm only prolonging this because I'm so squeamish around needles. You guys have no idea how nervous I am right now. I could take bullet ant stings, I could take bites from giant desert centipedes. When it comes to sticking a needle into my arm, nothing makes my skin crawl more than that. We've got a medic on set with us, and she is going to safely draw out my blood.
I need you to just keep your arm very still.
Very still.
Don't jerk it back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel like you're gonna pass out, tell me.
Okay.
If you get lightheaded or you start to feel really hot.
Okay. I'm already hot. I'm sweating bullets right now. Like, more nervous than I was for ants, centipedes, like, worst day ever.
Well, even hotter than you are right now.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes, I can be ready.
1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Find a happy place. Find a happy place. Is this considered a lot of blood for one sitting?
This is an okay amount.
Just an okay
Certainly
amount.
not gonna harm you.
Okay. I'm gonna point the GoPro down at what this is to see what's happening. I can't look with my own eyes. I can't bear. I can't feel my arm. Like, should I be doing anything with my arm?
No. Okay, you ready?
For what?
I'm gonna take out the needle. Are you ready?
Yeah, is it out?
No.
Yeah, I'm ready. Ah! Oh my gosh, is it gonna like squirt blood if you, oh my God, look at all those tubes of blood. Holy mackerel. But what we're gonna do now is head down the hallway, meet up with Carl, and move to step 2 of this experiment. Holy cow, look at all of these vials of blood. That is so much Coyote that is spilled out in the name of science. Okay, Carl, I am back with 8 vials of my blood. Now, we're only gonna need 4 for this experiment, so I'll put these other 4 over here as a backup. And we've got the entire experiment set up. We've got 3 vials that contain copperhead, water moccasin, and eastern diamondback venom. Eventually, that blood is going to trickle down this board that we've created. But before we get there, let's talk about these venoms and why they're so potentially dangerous.
Okay, so Coyote, all 3 of these snakes cause you to bleed, cause you to hemorrhage. And hemorrhaging is dangerous for a host of reasons. Your blood doesn't clot, you're losing blood from your blood vessels, your blood corpuscles are being broken apart, your red blood cells are being lysed, they're not carrying oxygen to your tissues. They all cause you to hemorrhage. They do it a little differently. The mechanisms at work do it a little differently, but they all cause that significant bleeding coagulopathy problem.
Okay, man, that is complex, but sounds very painful at the same time. Obviously, a lot of pain is experienced with a bite from any one of these snake species. Okay, so I'm definitely going to put on my safety goggles for this part. I am going to open up this vial and expose the venom. Now, I have this one labeled copperhead, and you'll see I also have a blunt-tipped needle. The reason for that is if this was sharp and I were to accidentally prick myself, that's just like a snake fang. What you don't want to do is envenomate yourself while working with venom. So I'm gonna just, oh man, makes your hand nervous just to pick up and hold what that is right there. That is some very potent venom. Now, Carl, I'm gonna need your assistance. If you can just tilt that a tiny bit until I'm able to get some venom. I think that's enough?
Yep.
That's probably more than a full snake bite right there.
No question.
Okay, so there is our copperhead venom. Whew, one down. Our next one is going to be the water moccasin. Wow, look at that venom yield.
Gives you a sense of how dangerous cottonmouths can be, and part of that equation again is yield. That's 3 snakes, of course, but even still.
There we go. Ooh, that is a toxic little mix right there. Oh, got a little drip coming. That's okay, let's put that there. And now we are going to bring up the most potent of them all, the Eastern Diamondback. Woo, this is the big one right here. All right. There we go. And that right there would be enough venom to kill you, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Okay, so we've got our 3 syringes of venom lined up. Thank you, Carl. Whew, this is, keeping your hand steady is not an easy thing. Okay, so the first one, our green, is going to be the copperhead. Okay, there we go. Dangerous little tube right there. Okay, moving on to the water moccasin. Labeled yellow. Caution, water moccasins can be deadly. Definitely not a snake you ever want to trifle with in the wild. Admire these guys from a very safe distance. Okay, there we go. All right, that is moccasin venom going into my blood. And last but certainly not least will be the Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake. Still a very, very dangerous syringe right there. There's still some venom residue. Okay, there we go. That is Eastern Diamondback venom going into my blood. Okay, well, let's take 15 minutes. We will return, and step 3 of this experiment will tell us exactly what happens from a visual perspective when you add snake venom to human blood. But I know a lot of you out there have said before, Coyote, you've been bitten and stung by so many things. Get bitten by a venomous snake. Now, Carl, I want to open up this conversation to you to say to everybody out there watching, how crazy is that notion of intentionally being bitten by a venomous snake? And just so we're clear, guys, I'm never going to intentionally take on a bite like something from a copper-headed water moccasin or rattlesnake. And tell us why this is so damaging.
Because insect stings and snake bites are very different things. And so insect venoms, to a large degree, evolved to cause pain. And basically what they're trying to do is get you away from perhaps their nest or something of that nature. Snake venoms evolved to immobilize and kill the food that they eat. And so snake venoms are destructive on a whole host of different levels. So you've got blood chemistry problems, you've got neurological issues happening, you've got cardiac issues happening, a depolarization of the muscle cells in your heart. You've got maybe all of these things: nephrotoxicity, myotoxicity, cytotoxicity, cardiotoxicity, neurotoxicity. A snake bite can be a very dangerous event. In fact, it can be a lethal event. And on a cellular level, it's catastrophic. It's nothing to be fooled with or taken lightly. There's no question about that.
Okay, it has been roughly 15 minutes that the venom has been percolating inside of my blood. And now's the big moment. What I'm curious about, what I know you guys are all curious about, what exactly happened to my blood with that venom inside? So the first thing that we're gonna do is put on my safety glasses. Always important to have on safety glasses when you're doing science experiments. So we've got another blunt tip needle that is the control. That's the blood that's in here. And when I hold it up and look at it, yeah, that still looks super liquidy. So what we're gonna do is pull blood from each one of these vials, and I'm gonna make a little streak just like that on the top of this plexiglass board. And we're gonna see what happens. Does it run down? Does it turn into jelly? We don't know, right?
Gonna be interesting.
I guess we'll see. And I'm just gonna try to make a nice little streak across here, just like that. Oh, what? That is some coagulation right there, isn't it, Carl?
See that coag? Yeah, that's great.
Wow. That looks like a zombie film right there. So, Carl, tell us what happened, because there was no venom in there, yet you got these chunks of blood that just looked like they vomited themselves down this plexiglass plate.
When you expose blood to oxygen, it's gonna begin to clot.
Right.
And so that's what we're seeing there.
And that's healthy blood then.
Absolutely.
Healthy blood exposed to oxygen is going to coagulate. So for the most part, looks like I'm healthy. So now we are moving on to the copperhead. That is our green vial here. And I'm just gonna give that a tilt left and right. Now, like you were saying, Carl, that anticoagulant makes this look like it's a whole lot.
Very hard to say if we're gonna see anything to the naked eye, but I assure you what's going on in that tube right now, cellularly, is as we talked about earlier, catastrophic.
Okay.
So let's see if we can see anything with the naked eye.
Here we go. Copperhead blood coming up. Oh, wow, look at all those bubbles. I did not really see that on the control. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow, look at that. It's just dripping right out of I'm not even applying any pressure yet. And look at that. It's just dripping right out of the syringe. Wow. Whoa, look at that.
Boy, it's certainly the naked eye looks like it's less coagulation going on there, right? I mean, to the naked eye, I mean, that just ran down. We're now, I saw a couple of little micro, maybe, clots in there, but to the naked eye, I don't know about what you saw, but
yeah.
Anyway, interesting.
That was blood running down that incredibly fast. I mean, just the pace at which it slid down and off the plexiglass, you can see that a lot of the blood here still left streaking. This was, yeah, look a lot. You can almost see the more watery consistency of it. So that's the blood cells breaking down and not being able to hold on to each other.
Again, to the naked eye, that's what it would look like.
Again, guys, we can't stress enough how the internal aspects of what's happening on a micro level, that if we had a super powerful microscope, we'd be able to see are happening. I mean, this is just explosions of blood cells and everything breaking down apart inside.
All those little cell walls are being affected. And
okay, here we go. Water moccasin. You can see there, the blood definitely looks very thin as well. Again, a whole cocktail of proteins and toxins that are just turning this blood into who knows what. Again, oh wow. So that's having trouble actually sucking the blood up into
more clotting in this sample.
There we go, okay. And my glasses are fogging up. I'm doing my best to keep my hand steady, but even interacting with venom and blood definitely gets your heart rate going, that's for sure. That is my blood mixed together with water moccasin venom. And again, you can see that blood just wants to come out of the tip of the needle without me applying any pressure. It's just dripping out on its own. So I'm gonna very slowly apply a little bit of pressure. There we go. Wow, look at that.
There's certainly some clots visible in that sample.
Oh yeah.
More so than the copperhead venom.
That is true. Look at that. You can just still see all of that. It looks like a worm going down the side of the plexiglass.
But certainly the copperhead venom appeared thinner, and the cottonmouth venom in relationship to the control, tough to say, but maybe we're seeing some anticoagulant activity there. Maybe.
Okay. So here we go. I've got the eastern diamondback venom in my blood there. Top coming back off. There we go. Syringe going in. Again, guys, flat tip needles. Even if I were to prick myself with a needle with venom, that is just like suffering envenomation. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how thin that blood is. That pulls up way easier than the copperhead or the moccasin. Wow, look how watery that is. That's crazy. What does human blood look like once it's been envenomated with eastern diamondback rattlesnake venom? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there is a little bit of coagulation there. Wow, look at that.
There's some significant clotting. And remember, on this one, Coyote, Eastern Diamondback venom, we think there are both anticoagulant and procoagulant activity happening. But that's interesting.
Okay, well there we have it. Between the control, the copperhead, the moccasin, and the Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake, visually across the board, it looks like there's quite a bit of difference, right? Even with the control, I don't see any speckling in the blood as compared to these three. But from your expert perspective, Carl, what is it that we're really seeing here? I mean, it looks like a horror film, but it's tough to tell with the naked eye.
Yeah. So Coyote, you know, I think we need to point out that this experiment is a really crude experiment. You know, what we're seeing, we're kind of speculating a little bit and based a little bit on what we know about these given snake venoms. But this really needs to be done under a microscope in a really controlled setting where we don't have this time difference going on and we're not sure, you know, that the amount of venom being used is exact to get a real sense of this. But I think it's safe to say that what's happening here, whether or not we can see it with the naked eye, is serious, catastrophic damage on a cellular level.
And I think for everybody out there watching, not only did I hear you say that we need to do this again, which means there will be a sequel to this video, but that the big takeaway is the pit vipers in the United States have the potential to be very dangerous. This is not a species you would ever want to interact with in the wild. And for everybody out there that's asked, Coyote, will you get bitten by a venomous snake? The answer is no. You guys can see that this is, again, catastrophic. If you're bitten by one of these snakes, it is a medical emergency. And with all of our content, we want to encourage the viewers to admire these animals from a safe distance. Don't try to kill them. Don't try to catch them. Don't ever experiment with yourself to see what would happen if you tangled with one of these snakes.
I think that's an excellent synopsis. And hey man, are you gonna clean this up?
I will, yes. I will clean up all of the mess that I have made here in the lab, but for everybody out there watching who's wanted to see what would happen if Coyote Peterson was bitten by a venomous snake, there you have it, guys. My blood tangling with venom. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave. Stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure.
Every year around the world, people are bitten by venomous snakes. And it's probably accurate to say that each and every one of these bites happens by accident. Some species, like the copperhead, aren't likely to kill you, but a full-on envenomation from Eastern Diamondback is certain to take your life without the administration of anti-venom. Carl and Mara perform thousands of milkings every year, risking their own lives just in case you were unfortunately bitten by one of these slithering reptiles. Yet that doesn't mean you should be afraid of snakes. Almost all bites come as a result of humans trying to move, harass, or kill one of these animals. The best course of action is to always respect snakes from a safe distance, ensuring that you do not have a catastrophic interaction. If you would like to learn more about snakes and the power of their venom, make sure to visit the Reptile Discovery Center's website, where you can schedule a snake milking demonstration. You know, normally on a day like this, I'd be out there in the lily pads catching snapping turtles. But today, we're gonna do something a little different. Now, when we post these Dragon Tales episodes, a lot of you write in and say, Coyote, how many times have you been covered in leeches? And the answer to that question is absolutely never. In fact, in 20 years of catching turtles, being in swamps, ponds, lakes, ankle deep to neck deep, I have had virtually 0 leeches end up on my body. The only time I think I've ever actually had a leech on me is when I've been holding a snapping turtle and one has actually crawled off the turtle and onto my hand. And even when they did, they would suction on, but they would never suck blood. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the movie Stand By Me. You know, that scene when the kids wander down into the swamp and get covered in leeches and they're like, ah, we're being eaten alive. That does not happen. So what we're gonna do today is prove that not all leeches suck human blood. Now I'm sure you're thinking to yourselves, Coyote, I thought we were going to see some leech bites, and you just said not all leeches suck human blood. And they don't. But I wouldn't let you guys down. So today we are going to test what happens when my arm goes into a container with 2 different species. What I have here are 2 separate containers. This one has your common freshwater leech, ones like we would find in the pond right behind me here. These live in North America. And in this hand are the European medicinal leeches. These ones are from overseas, and trust me when I say that they absolutely love human blood.
All right, what I'm gonna do now is dump the freshwater leeches into the container, and I'm gonna put my arm in there. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Here you go, guys. Look at that. They are creepy looking, but I'm not nervous right now because I know that these leeches will not suck blood. Even if they attach to my arm, it's more of them being curious and testing out the environment than it is them wanting to get a meal. Moment of truth. My arm is about to go into the container with the freshwater leeches. Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. I said I wasn't nervous, but even still, putting your arm into a container with any leeches definitely get your heart rate going. Oh boy, that one looks like it's actually going towards my arm right there. You see that? Most species of freshwater leeches, especially the ones that can be found in the United States, feed on small invertebrates or cold-blooded species like reptiles and amphibians. They are rather intelligent, and this is something new in their environment. They're going right up to my arm, and they're actually turning away. Look at that. I kept my arm submerged in the container for 15 minutes and wasn't bitten by a single leech. Okay, so I think at this point we have proven that the freshwater leeches have no interest in sucking my blood. Let's bring out the European medicinal leeches and see what happens with those. The next type of leech is native to Eurasia and is likely the most famous species, as they have often been used in various medical procedures like reconstructive surgery. They live in muddy freshwater ecosystems and are notorious for feasting on blood. I just went and picked up the container of European medicinal leeches. You probably even noticed the change in the inflection of my voice. I am actually nervous at this point. These leeches are going to adhere to my arm and they are going to consume my blood. They haven't eaten in a few days, and trust me when I say that they are hungry. All right, you ready for me to put them into the container, Mark?
All right, release the beast.
Here they go. All right, this is it. No turning back now. This is for science. Oh boy.
A lot of leeches in there, Coyote.
This is gonna be crazy. All right, I think it's about time to stick my arm into a container full of leeches. Oh my gosh, they are just squirming all over the place. This is gonna be intense. Are we ready for me to be eaten alive by leeches?
I think so.
You're ready? Mark, you're ready. I know you're ready.
The camera's ready.
Camera's ready. Coyote pack? I feel like you're probably ready. All right.
There's a lot of leeches in there.
There's a lot of leeches. All right, so without further ado, I'm Coyote Peterson, and I'm about to be eaten alive by leeches. Ready? 1, 2, here we go, 3. That gets your nerves going, that's for sure. Look at that, there's one already, boom. Just like that, instantaneous, secured to my arm. Holy mackerel. They're just like swarming towards my arm. Look at that. One on my arm there, that's 3. In a matter of seconds. My arm has been in here for, hold on, this one's like trying to go up my shirt. Go this way. Boom, another one there on my hand. My heart is racing right now. Look at that. They are all over me. Ah. Oh, I can definitely feel something happening. Ooh, it feels like sandpaper grinding against my skin. My hand and arm have been in the water for about 60 seconds, and all but one leech is now on my arm. Now, the way that the leech's sucker works is they adhere on and they release from their saliva an anticoagulant enzyme. That enzyme not only numbs the skin, it also doesn't allow the blood to clot. Now, they have teeth that are kind of in the shape of a Y. Here, Mark, look at my fingers. It looks like this, the 3 teeth of a leech. They go like that and they slice into you. And I can feel them actually cutting into my arm. And look at that, look at how that leech is bent over. It is holding on with the posterior sucker, which is the tail, and it is consuming blood from the anterior sucker, which is the mouth. And holy cow, is this uncomfortable. Ugh. It has been about 20 minutes so far since my arm has been in the water. I'm gonna pan the camera down. Look at how big the leeches have gotten. They are completely swollen with blood at this point. At this juncture, I think these leeches have had enough of a feast. It's time to get them off of my hand and arm. Now, there is a right way and a wrong way to remove a leech from your body. You may think, let me yank it off. Yanking it off is bad because you can actually pull their teeth out into the wound. Those teeth get left in the wound, you can end up with an infection. Now you may think to yourself, well, maybe I should put salt on it or put a lighter behind it and heat it up and it will be like, I'm scared, let me get out of here. That's also really bad because it will actually cause the leech to regurgitate some of its food into the wound. That also will cause an infection. Now the best way to remove a leech is to just use the edge of your finger. And what I want to do is softly slide the anterior sucker off of the wound. Okay, you ready for that?
How do you know which is which? What's that?
Well, it's obvious that this is the anterior side, as you can see the back end is not attached to anything. And look at that leech. Oh, that one just popped off. Oop, and that one popped off too. Look at that. Well, there's also the instance where the leech has eaten enough and it's going to just release itself on its own. Those two leeches are so full of blood, they are done eating. Look at how big that leech is. It is full of blood, and look at the blood just pouring out of my hand at this point.
Wow.
That leech basically said, okay, I'm done eating, back into the water with me. What you want to do is just gently slide your finger over the anterior sucker. There you go, look at that. Got the leech to pop off, and then I can just pop the posterior sucker off and plop back into the water with that leech. Oh, there we go. Ooh, that one hurts. Look at that. You can see the blood just seeping out. There's 4 of them right there. This is going to be the bloodiest spot. You guys ready? 1, 2. Well, there you have it. The final leech. You guys ready? Dinner's over, buddy. The blood, it's like there's a lot of water in my blood. That's the anticoagulant just breaking down all the platelets. And you can just see my blood almost looks really, really thin. And it's all about the amount of anticoagulant that actually went into my hand. I may be bleeding for hours at this point. My hand is actually numb, and that's how these leeches, look at how big and fat and heavy they all are at the bottom of the tank there. The water is all red. As you can see, the drips of blood falling down into the water. It's like a shark attack happened right here in this container. That's crazy. Well, I think ultimately at this point we have proven that while there are some species of leeches that will not give you a bloody bite, on the other hand, there are definitely some that will. Only thing left to do now is clean up this mess. Stick around and I'll show you exactly how to dress a leech bite if you're ever unfortunate enough to get one. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave. Stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure. Man, that's a lot of blood. There are nearly 700 species of leeches found on our planet. And the good news is that only a very small percentage would even consider consuming human blood. This is not an animal you ever need to be afraid of. They do not transmit diseases and have never been responsible for a human death. As for me, I took on a massive amount of anticoagulant and bled for nearly 24 hours. In the end, was it worth it? Well, if you no longer fear going into a lake or pond, because we have proven that most North American freshwater leeches have no interest in drinking human blood, then I would definitely say that the answer is yes. What's going on, Coyote Pack? It's a cloudy, rainy day here in central Ohio, which doesn't seem ideal when you're searching for creatures, unless those creatures are worms. Now today I'm going to show you how to build a worm farm, and the first thing that we need are the worms. So let's go find some. Nothing like looking for worms in the rain. Check this one out. That's a good one right there. Got him. Oh yeah. That's a good worm right there. Come here, buddy. Oh yeah. Whoa. They are slippery. That is a mondo worm right there. All right, in the container with these guys. Look at that. Okay, that's about 50 worms in 30 minutes. I'd say it's time to start construction on our worm farm. Okay, we're back. It is time to put together our worm farm. First, let's take a look at a worm. We've featured worms in the past, and all worms are known as annelids, segmented worms. Leeches and bloodworms are both related to the common earthworm, believe it or not. But we've never featured something as common as the nightcrawler. This is a species that you're very likely to see right in your own backyard. And believe it or not, the nightcrawler is invasive here in the United States. They originally came from Europe, and in the 1800s, settlers brought them over as we were colonizing America, and at this point, there's no way to get rid of the worms. But that's okay, because they're actually doing quite a bit of good for the environment by aerating the soil and re-enriching it with nutrients. Now, this is a rather simple creature, right? It doesn't have proper eyes, but it does have a mouth up front here, and in the back, it does have a butt, and actually, it just pooped on me. So that's gonna answer the question, do worms poop? Yep, they definitely poop. Look, he's pooping all over the table. It's like just a liquid dirt poop. But the worm's primary body structure takes place in the top third of its body. Both its brain, its heart, and its stomach are contained just above this saddle-like looking ring, which is usually purplish or peach in coloration. That's called the clitellum. And this little organ right here creates a thick, viscous mucus. So when a worm lays its eggs, right there is exactly where those eggs come from. Now, the worm has a very long stomach and a wide digestive tract with actually multiple stomachs throughout the body. So all throughout here, you have the digestion that's happening. And when you hold the worm up to the light, you can actually see all of the dirt and rotting plant material that is filtering through its body. And then, like we just saw a second ago, it would poop it out right from its anus, which is at the tip of the tail. Now, these segmented worms are really, really cool. And when they're fully stretched out, you can actually feel these little parapodia that run down the sides of their body. So you may be wondering, how does a worm actually get through the environment? They burrow through tunnels that they make, eating their way through an underground labyrinth. And these little tiny parapodia, those grip onto the dirt walls and propel the animal forward. Now, when it comes to injuring a worm, you may be saying, well, Coyote, can you just hold a worm like that? Certainly. They don't have a proper skeleton like a mammal or a reptile or a bird. In fact, they have no skeleton at all, no exoskeleton. These worms are completely squishy. However, they can be injured if you damage the worm anywhere above the clitellum. If you were to injure its brain, its heart, or its main stomach, yes, it would kill the worm. However, if the worm loses just a piece off of its lower end here, it will eventually rejuvenate. But the cool thing about worms is that they hold an incredibly positive role for the ecosystem by breaking down all of the old decaying plant matter that you find in the forest. Believe it or not, some worms even eat carrion, which is dead animals. I never thought worms could be so fascinating. I'd say at this point, we're probably ready to start building our worm farm. Now, in 30 minutes, I collected, I would say, close to 50 worms, and a lot of them are good size, definitely night crawlers. But building a worm farm isn't nearly as complex as you might think. And just to be clear, there are two very distinct types of worm farms. One is worms for composting. That is not the farm that we're going to be building today. Today we're building the most simplistic worm farm, one where you simply can admire these worms in a little container of your own. Now, what I recommend is a perfectly clear container like this. Placing them in a clear container and then inside of a darker container will help the worms feel more comfortable. And you place your worms inside the container like that to keep them out of direct light. Now, to actually build the farm, first, we need our building materials. We've got our gravel, our sticks, our leaf litter, our worm dirt, and of course, our container of worms. Now, the first thing you want to do is just add a small layer of gravel to the basin of your worm farm. Just gonna spread some of this in here. The finer the gravel, usually the better. And the reason for this is basic drainage. As your worms are eating and as you're watering their environment, that moisture is going to seep down towards the basin of the farm. That also helps all the worm excrement, the worm poop, to seep down to the bottom as well. The next thing you want to add is just a little bit of worm soil. Now remember guys, this is going to get a little messy, so building your worm farm outdoors might be the best play. And you want to make sure that you've got some dirt, it's is getting all over the place. Some dirt that's real good and crumbly, right? The crumblier dirt is gonna be easier for the worms to move through. The next thing you wanna do is put down a layer of leaf litter. I went out and just collected some moist leaves. Now I always say the wetter, the better. Damp leaf litter will help it decompose faster. You don't wanna just place a bunch of dry leaves in there because that will actually suck moisture out of the worms. Now, as you're putting together your layers, one thing that you're gonna wanna get is a worm water bottle. But just a little bit of water to spritz throughout the layers is good. You don't wanna soak it, but you don't want it to be too dry. Okay, with this leaf litter in place, actually gonna add in a couple of sticks. These basic branches that are already dead will actually just create some space for the worms to be able to move around underneath the soil. It's kind of like a worm jungle gym, if you will. And you can just kind of bury these down in there. And now you add on another layer of worm dirt. Sprinkle that in there. Let's put down a little more leaf litter. And last but not least, a container full of worms. You can slowly pick them out one at a time, place them in different areas, different corners. All right, Mario, you want to get a shot there of the worms up on the surface?
Sure.
Kind of looks like a really disgusting cake with worms. Now, these are very low maintenance pets. All you need to do is a couple times a week, spritz them with your water bottle. Now, before you actually place the lid on top of your worm farm, because you do want to put a lid on it, otherwise they're gonna crawl out. You want to either drill or poke some holes into the top. This allows for the flow of oxygen, which means that the worms are able to breathe. And there you have it. You have built a worm farm. Now, this is not a pet that you want to keep for eternity. I would recommend releasing your worms after a few weeks. And if you're not going to release them, at least change out the soil because they will eat out all the nutrients from it. And what's cool about that soil is that you can then actually replace it into your garden or put it into some of your potted plants. And it's full of rich nutrients and minerals that the worms have created through their poop. How cool is that? And there you go. That's your worm farm. Now, I can sense you're probably a little skeptical, saying to yourselves, Coyote, what can you really do with a worm farm? Guys, worms make great pets. You can take them to the park, you can take them on the playground, you can watch TV with them. All in all, worms make great pets. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave, stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure. You guys want to go watch some Netflix? All right, sounds good.
Brave Wilderness has become culturally synonymous with animal bites and stings. In the name of science and entertainment, I've taken on my fair share of painful encounters.
Oh, it's stuck in my arm!
But some bites are far too dangerous when it comes to human trial. So that is where technology comes in. We have teamed up with Ohio HD, one of the Midwest's premier production houses. Renowned for their arsenal of high-end equipment, they are considered experts in executing creative ideas with specialized solutions. And today, we are combining our talents to bring you into the strike zone.
On this episode, we're going to take you into the slow-motion strike zone of the mangrove snake and the water moccasin.
To capture these predator strikes, we will be using a Phantom high-speed camera, capable of capturing 1,000 frames per second at full 4K resolution. Then, by slowing down the footage, we will be able to closely analyze and break down why these strikes are so effective and ultimately lethal.
Wow. Here we go!
Also joining our party is the Bolt high-speed Cinebot, which can go from standstill to high-speed motion in a fraction of a second. Yep, it's a robot with a camera for a head that can move faster than a human. Trust me, I was just as impressed as you are. Now, before we enter the strike zone, first, let me introduce our fearless wildlife experts, Mario Aldecoa and Mike Easter. They will help to ensure that everything goes according to plan. Remember, safety for the animals and our crew is always the #1 priority.
There you have it. The cast of characters is set. So if you guys are ready, let the strikes begin.
Okay, that's good. Let's turn it.
So where we're gonna set this up is right here on this amazing tree branch sculpture. Now, Mario, are you setting up for somebody's birthday?
No, it's no one's birthday. This is a prop. It is a balloon. And we are going to use this to entice a snake to strike out and hopefully pop the balloon in slow motion.
Okay, what snake species is going to be striking at this balloon?
We're gonna be using a mangrove snake. It is a mildly venomous colubrid from Southeast Asia.
Okay, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.
Oh, that's really good. All right.
This is going to be it.
This, of course, does not hurt the snake in any way. The only injury will come to the balloon. Okay, ready? 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 Is that good?
Oh, that was the one. That was it. Wow. Okay, so careful with your camera right there. The snake is still in strike pose. That was a good strike. That was pretty cool. That noise was loud inside of the studio, too.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for, it's time to enter the strike zone.
Okay, this is the moment. This is where we review the footage to find out if we got the strike. Man, the shot is crisp. Look at the snake. His mouth is already gaped open. Here comes the balloon into the shot.
He's going.
It seems like it lasts forever. I expected it to come so much quicker.
Casey, nice. I see you're panning up.
Yep, it's perfect.
That's great.
Yeah, you can actually see the teeth hanging down from the roof of his mouth. The anticipation. 1,000 frames a second lasts a long time. Here comes the strike. Here it comes.
Oh, man.
Wow, that was incredible. Oh, that is one heck of a shot right there.
Yeah.
Dancing in the treetops is no challenge for this arboreal reptile, and what's more terrifying is that this killer usually hunts at night. Combining its excellent vision to pick up on even the slightest movement, it's then the snake's forked tongue that ultimately helps this lethal predator zero in and lock its strike. The S-shaped stance allows the reptile to spring forward, and if the strike is successful, it will hold on to the prey and begin to chew, maneuvering the victim toward its rear fangs, where a mild venom is slowly injected. To humans, this bite is not fatal, but to birds, small mammals, and lizards, this is a very slow and agonizing end.
All right, guys, water moccasin is coming on to set.
Already got the gape going.
Oh, already in strike pose. Oh,
That's
look at
nice.
that. We've got this log situation set up here, and the hopes is that the water moccasin's going to coil right here, and then we are going to slowly add in a warm water balloon and see if those heat-seeking pits are capable of striking out and giving us quite the show. Think this is gonna work?
Well, we got the mangrove snakes to strike. Supposedly water moccasins are a lot more aggressive. I think this is gonna work.
Well, let's see some action. We want a water moccasin strike in slow-mo. Casey, how's that framing look for you?
I'm feeling good here.
Okay. Mike, we feel good about the snake?
Feel good.
Okay. And I think we're ready. Oh! Wow, what just happened?
He struck at the balloon.
I forgot about the water action.
Wow. So with virtually insane speed, that snake struck out, those fangs hit the balloon, an explosion of air and water everywhere. That was going to be one very epic slow motion shot. You feel good about that, Casey?
I love that.
Oh, if Casey likes it, I like it. All right, I say let's review the clip. This is it, reviewing the footage of the water moccasin strike. Look at that, tongue flicking in and out. Casey, this frame is absolutely perfect. Here we go.
He's gonna find.
Oh!
Wow.
Boom. Oh! That was amazing. That water added an unbelievable effect. Dude, Casey, that might have been the best shot of the day right there.
Distinguished by its stocky build and semi-aquatic nature, this New World pit viper is an accurately lethal striker. Using heat-sensitive pits, located between the eyes and nostrils, these sensory organs contain a network of thermal receptors that help detect the heat signatures of prey items. Even in complete darkness, the pits allow them to strike with incredible precision. And like a heat-seeking missile, their bite hits and delivers an explosion of hemotoxic venom. To any prey item, this hit is fatal. To humans, it's a race to the hospital. In slow motion, you can truly appreciate how fast and accurate the strike of a snake can be. It's not an experience you want to have, so remember, pay attention to your surroundings when out hiking, and if you come across a venomous snake, always admire it from a safe distance.
I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave and stay out of the strike zone. Mario, you sift around these two containers. Again, I'm not even sure which frog is inside of which container.
All right, I'm going to attempt to grab one of these frogs right now. Oh, buddy, you don't know what is in store for you.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Over the years, I have performed a number of seemingly crazy experiments. Look at that, where I've put my body up against stings, bites, puke fruits, spiky plants, and even natural hot springs. Today I find myself in Ashland, Kentucky. I would say it's one of the most beautiful locations we have ever visited in the eastern half of the United States. And while I could go on with several poetic lines, cut with epic drone shots, let's get right down to business. Because you guys all showed up to see a poisonous frog taste test. In front of me, there are two containers. Inside of one of them is a pickerel frog. Inside the other is a leopard frog. Now, to the naked eye, these two frog species are nearly identical. There are a few distinct differences, but the biggest one is that the pickerel frog is poisonous and the leopard frog is not. Now, I've caught these frog species before in the wild, and I'll be honest, even myself, who's somebody that catches a lot of frogs and is really good at identifying species, has a real difficult time differentiating between a leopard frog and a pickerel frog. Their body design is almost exactly the same. They have large eyes, the skin is green or brownish in coloration, and they have black spots all over their bodies, not to mention the two gold ridges that run down the length of the back. Now, the biggest difference visually is that the pickerel frog has a rather uniform pattern of spots that typically tend to be squarish in design. The leopard frog spots are much more circular and completely randomly placed. However, with frog species, the pattern oftentimes varies, and unless you have the two frogs side by side, it is almost impossible to tell them apart. Now, there's an old herpetologist trick that when they're in the field, if they don't have these two frogs side by side and they want to tell the difference, they actually taste the frog. Now, I've never licked either one of these frogs before, and my goal today is to determine whether or not this frog taste test actually works. So if you guys are ready, I'm Coyote Peterson, and this is the Poisonous Frog Taste Test. Mario, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Warning: amphibians carry toxins in their skin that can be dangerous and sometimes fatal to humans. Never lick or consume one of these animals.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? You're gonna stick your tongue out, and then I'm gonna place the frog in next to your tongue?
Hold the frog by its back legs and then turn its back toward me and essentially rub the frog's back on my tongue. So I will turn to the side like this for the frog that's on this side, and then this, and then just wipe the frog on my tongue.
Wipe his butt on your tongue?
Like his back, the back of the frog. And then we will turn this direction for the other frog, and I'll do the same thing. In between each frog, I'll swish out my mouth with water to cleanse my palate. I don't want to swallow any of that water. I don't want to get those toxins down into my digestive tract.
You should actually just cleanse your palate real quick with some water.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. Oh, goodness.
Clean and ready to lick a frog.
got one.
Okay. So I'm going to turn like this. You let me know when you've got the frog in the right position.
Oh, buddy, you don't know what is in store for you. All right, stick your tongue out.
All right, guys, here we go. This is me tasting the first frog. Will it be the pickerel frog? Will it be the leopard frog? And can I taste the difference between the two? All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, 1, 2.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It just tastes like slimy. Wet and slimy. I'm not being able to taste anything yet. I do taste a little bit of something. Let me get some water. So I just want to get the frog slime out of my mouth.
Here you go. Oh. Yep.
Okay, so definitely cold, definitely slimy. Tastes a little pondy, I guess. Almost like a pond smells. Just a little earthy, I would say. All right, so I'm gonna turn this direction for the next frog.
Okay.
Let's see if I can determine the difference. Now, if I had to guess at this point, based on what I tasted, I would say that was a leopard frog, just because I didn't experience anything that was like, I want to spit it out.
I'm gonna attempt to grab the next frog.
Okay.
Ooh, this one is jumpy.
Okay, here we go. I am about to lick the second frog. Will I taste anything different than the first frog, and will I be able to determine whether or not this is the pickerel or the leopard frog? Whew. Here we go. All right, Mario, are you ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I really don't. Let me have one more taste.
Oh God. I'm sorry, Froggy.
I don't taste anything bitter, to be honest with you. So,
Oh man.
I'm trying to feel if there's any like numbness in my tongue or my lips. Maybe, a little bit. A little bit. I would say that tastes a little flowery. Almost like a flower smells. Not sharp, not sour. Let me get some water to wash out my mouth, just in case. I'm feeling a little tingling in my lips, I gotta say. Wow, I'm gonna be completely honest, it's hard to tell, but given the fact that my lips do feel a little numb, I'm gonna say that this is the pickerel frog and this is the leopard frog. I taste what seems like almost chewing on a flower with this frog, but I wouldn't say it's bitter, and I wouldn't say it's sharp. It's just a little bit of sweetness, and this one just kind of tasted like moss. So, I'm gonna take blindfold off. Ooh, something might be happening to my lip. Oh, back to daylight. That's 100% the pickerel frog right there. My lip feels weird. My lip is definitely starting to feel weird. I don't feel anything on my tongue, but I definitely feel something on my lip. So the pickerel frog and the toxins that are in its skin, to my taste buds, do not taste bitter. And I definitely feel like my lip is numb, almost like it's not, like when you get Novocaine if you're going to the, my lip is totally like going numb right now. That's so weird. Okay, there's definitely some toxins in the skin of the pickerel frog. That's so weird. Not so much taste as much as a feeling. Does my lip look any different?
No, man.
That's so weird. I definitely am having some numbness going on in my lower lip, where not so much on my tongue, just on the front of my lip. And I would definitely say that the toxins in the pickerel frog are more apparent than the taste of a leopard frog. Ugh, that's actually really strange. Okay, well, there you have it. The poisonous frog taste test, I would say, has allowed me to determine that the pickerel frog definitely has some sort of reaction on the inside of my mouth. The leopard frog, I felt absolutely nothing at all. But it's probably important to note that the frog is going to secrete more toxin when it really feels as if it's in danger. So if a predator comes in and attempts to bite that frog, if it sustains any sort of an injury, those toxins are likely to be secreted in more force. So while we try to put as little stress on the frog as possible, I'm sure it didn't want to get licked by Coyote Peterson, so I may not have gotten the full effect that you could get if you were to chomp on one of these frogs. Which brings me back to my warning that I gave everyone earlier. Never attempt to lick or eat any amphibian species. Many of them do carry toxins in their skin, and some of them can even be fatal. So there you have it. The poisonous frog taste test has determined that I'm able to tell the difference between a pickerel frog and a leopard frog based on taste and numbness, not sight at all. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave. Stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure. I think I'm ready for an ice cream cone. Those frogs did not taste pleasant.
I will always be the first to admit that there's an absurdity to some of the experiments I have performed on the Brave Wilderness channel. Licking a frog definitely falls into the categories of absurd, ridiculous, and let's be honest, pretty hilarious.
Let me have one more taste.
But you did learn some pretty cool things about two very unique frogs, didn't you? In reality, you can properly identify these frogs by closely examining their field marks if you have the species side by side. And while there's clearly a taste test difference between them, I think it's probably in the best interest of frogs and humans if we simply admire these amphibians without putting them in our mouths. What's going on, Coyote Pack? It's a beautiful summer evening here in Columbus, Ohio. The sun just set and the conditions are absolutely perfect for lightning bugs. Now what we're gonna do tonight is teach you how to build a lightning bug lantern. And in order to do that, first we need to find and catch some bugs. So if you guys are ready, let's get the adventure started.
Catching lightning bugs is all about patience. You see one flash and then you lose it. And then you see a flash over there and you lose it again. Now the tactic I like to use is to follow the flash a couple times and then turn on my flashlight really quickly and swipe it up with the net. Take some patience, take some practice, take some precision. I missed them.
That wasn't very agile.
No,
or graceful.
These are some advanced lightning bugs for sure. There are over 2,000 species of fireflies throughout our planet. Now, they live on every continent except for Antarctica. And in North America specifically, there are 150 different species of lightning bugs. Tonight, we are after the eastern lightning bug, arguably the most common species that you have here in the United States. Got him. Our little catch container is beginning to light up. It's really all about having great aim and hand-eye coordination once you see the lightning bugs. Now, I thought I'd be able to use the flashlight to light up the bugs once I saw them. That actually scares them away and they become even harder to catch. That catch container's got a lot of action going on in it. Got another one right in front of us. Here we go. Okay, I've got about 10 in the net. Couldn't tell you how many inside the capture jar. I think it's time to build the lightning bug lantern. And we're back. Now, before we get into building our lightning bug lantern, first, let's talk a little bit about lightning bugs. Or are they fireflies? That's a great question. Now, both terms technically are completely fine. However, these insects are not flies,
but in fact are true beetles. Now there are hundreds of thousands of beetle species worldwide, and tonight we have caught the eastern lightning bug. This is without question the most common species you're going to find in your backyard if you live in Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, or the Carolinas. This is the insect you are going out seeing lighting up the night sky. Now, these bugs are rather unique, and I would wager to say that the lightning bug has no humans that are actually afraid of it. Humans seem to love lightning bugs, and I say the reason for that is that they are completely friendly. They have no stinger and no biting mouth parts. So if something can't bite you and it can't sting you, why would you be afraid of it? It's a completely safe species to interact with. Now, the lightning bug has a very interesting life cycle. Like most beetles, when the male and female breed, the female then goes down to the ground and lays her eggs. Those eggs then hatch into larvae. The larva buries down into the soil and will spend up to 2 years feasting off different little microorganisms that it comes across. After they go through the larva stage, they go through metamorphosis and then hatch into more lightning bugs. And what's crazy is that when the males and females come up out of the ground between the months of June and September to start their breeding dance, they only live for between 5 and 30 days. Can you imagine that? A life cycle that lasts for nearly 2 years underground and only a month above ground. And what's unique about their breeding cycle is that it's one of the most celebrated insect gatherings in the world. In fact, there are some locations where people will actually gather together to see the spectacle that is lightning bugs lighting up the night sky. Now let's answer what's likely your most pressing question. How do lightning bugs glow? It's something called bioluminescence. Bioluminescence has a rather lengthy scientific definition. I could give you that entire definition and it would go on and on and on and be long-winded, but for the sake of this video, we're going to give you the short definition. Bioluminescence is a chemical reaction that happens within an organism's body that causes light. The reason it causes light is that these insects have a molecule inside of them known as luciferin. That luciferin, when it mixes with oxygen, has a reaction that causes light, hence the fact that they light up the night sky. Now, like all insects, lightning bugs have 3 basic body parts: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. You can see a little yellow pocket. That is where the luciferin is stored. Now, when the lightning bug isn't glowing, it just looks as if it's a pale yellow. When the lightning bug lights up, that's exactly where the glow is coming from. And when it comes to lightning bugs, the abdomen is actually referred to as the lantern, which will perfectly transition us into the next part of tonight's video, how to build your lightning bug lantern. First thing in is the grass. Nice fresh grass, good and green. Doing this outdoors is usually advisable because some of the lightning bugs will probably get away in the process. And if some of them escape, don't worry, they're just gonna head right back off into the environment. Next, I'm going to drop in a few leaves. Remember, these leaves provide the opportunity for the lightning bugs to hide and take shelter, especially during the day. These insects love to stay hidden and out of sight. Now, the last little piece you need from nature is a couple of twigs. I pick twigs that have a bunch of different little branches on them so that the lightning bugs feel as if they have a jungle gym. That gives them something to climb around on and to perch on. It's a little easier to get purchase on a twig than it is the side of a plastic or a glass container. Okay, this is it. Time to add our lightning bugs. This process is a little difficult, and remember, you want to be gentle with your lightning bugs. Now, they are going to crawl around inside your plastic catch container, so what I recommend is just gently tapping on the surface to get them to drop down into the basin. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do is slowly begin to transfer some of my lightning bugs, if I can, one at a time. Oh boy, they're really wanting to crawl out in a hurry. If you can get them to come out and onto the edge of the container like this, you can almost funnel and gently feed them down and into your lantern. There we go, there's one there, in you go. Everybody in. Oh, that one's getting away. Jimmy, no. I named that one Jimmy. Oh, losing one there. That's okay, and remember, if some escape in the process, that's completely, oh no, I'm spilling them. Oh, they're getting away, this isn't good. Oh, they're getting away. In you go, in you go. That's why we catch as many as possible. I wasn't able to count every single one that I got, but I would say I was close to 35 or 40. Oh, Billy, get in there, Billy. That's one of the real challenges. Can you actually name all of your lightning bugs that you catch? Susie, get in there. Tammy,
Deborah. Oh, I missed. In you go, in you go. There we go. Wow, that's actually pretty impressive. I would say I got 95% of my lightning bugs into the actual lantern. Look at that. Our jar looks fantastic. Grass, leaves, twigs, and lightning bugs. Now the very last thing that you want to use is your little piece of bendable wire. This is how you actually complete the lantern by making a little handle. Check this out. So I'm gonna put a little twist in it there. This piece comes around the side and tucks in like this. Here we go, twist that around like that. Good and secure. Get this on this side. Now, if you're working with wire, it may not be a bad idea to have your parents help you a little bit. You don't wanna prick yourself on the end of that. There we go. The handle is nice and secure. And there you have it. Your very own summer lightning bug lantern. Now, it is important to note that this is not a species that you want to keep forever. Remember, they have a very short life cycle. What I recommend is going out just before sunset to catch your lightning bugs. Build your container outside, get it set up just like this, take it inside, place it next to your bed before you tuck in, and you're gonna have the perfect lightning bug nightlight. Wake up in the morning, take them with you to breakfast, admire them during the afternoon, then head back out to the exact same location towards sunset and release them back into the wild so they can continue on with their breeding. Now, if you guys get the chance to head out this summer and build your very own lightning bug lantern, make sure to tag me on social media at Coyote Peterson, and I'll do my best to like and watch all of the videos and maybe even some comments on the success that you guys have with catching lightning bugs. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave, stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure. All right, lightning bugs, let's go see if we can get you to light up. On this episode of Coyote's Backyard, we are headed to the coast, where we will be navigating the slippery rocks with the goal of capturing as many tide pool animals as we can. The coastline of California is lined with public beaches, and if you arrive at low tide, you can leave the sand behind to explore amidst the rocks and shallows. Today I'm venturing out with Aiden and DeLand, who've been searching out and admiring marine animals for most of their young lives. Typically, they compete against one another to see who can catch the coolest creature first. I think it's safe to say that nothing beats a friendly competition between two brothers. However, today we are going to mix things up a little, and we will be working together as a team to find and safely capture their favorite creatures. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is fill up the aquarium with water. Aiden, I'm gonna give you that responsibility. So head on out there into the ocean and fill it up with water. We'll wait here. Now, we need to have water inside of our aquarium so that the animals that we catch and put in there are in their natural habitat. Watch your footing. And it's slippery out here. You guys have those good water shoes on, right?
Yep.
Helps you stick to the rocks. All right, let's see, let's check this out. With water in the aquarium, we are now officially ready to start looking for creatures. Are you guys ready?
Yeah!
I think these guys are ready to catch some creatures. All right, everybody spread out and let's see what we can find. And just like that, we were off and searching. Aiden and Dylan have a very precise method. First, you look into the shallow pools of water to see if anything is visible to the naked eye. And if not, then you begin gently flipping over rocks. And it didn't take more than a few minutes before Dylan called out the first find of the day.
Mark, I found some sea stars!
Oh yeah? What you got, bud? Oh yes, look at that!
Look at those.
That's awesome! Great job, Dylan. All right, pick one up and hold it up for the camera. Oh, those are bright colored too, little orange ones. And some people call them starfish, but we've actually learned that they're technically called sea stars. That's pretty awesome. Why don't you grab that other one from down there too?
Yeah, look at
Set it
that
in
one.
my hand.
That one's really bright.
That was really bright orange. Let's see, put it in my hand there. Now, do you guys find these sea stars a lot?
Yeah.
Is this a very common animal here in the tide pools?
Yeah, about that.
You think it's the most exciting animal?
Yeah.
What would be more exciting than a sea star?
Octopus.
Octopus. Well, let's put these in the aquarium and continue on looking for octopus. Dylan, you do the honors. There you go. Boom. Into the container. All right, guys. Well, so far, we have 2 sea stars. On to the next thing.
A few more steps down the beach, and Aiden stumbled upon one of the most bizarre animals you can come across at low tide.
Whoa, Aiden, do you know what that is?
Sea slug?
It is. That is a black sea hare, a giant sea slug. You want me to put this on your head?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see it. See if he'll hold it on. Look at that. Ugh. Have you ever had a slug on your head before? It's like a new kind of hair gel. It's going to be great hair gel for you.
Yep.
All right, I don't think that he is going to fit inside of our aquarium, but that is a pretty cool creature to come across. It's slimy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that is one sticky, slimy slug. All right, I think we need to find something a little bit smaller for our aquarium.
Up next was a creature that looked as if it was from another planet.
Hey, Coyote, I got a brutal start.
Ooh, let's see. Dylan, come here, check this out. Do these things bite?
No.
Oh, that's good. All right, here, put it in my hands. Let's see if we can get it to walk around. Nice catch. Wow, that is pretty bizarre looking, isn't it? These are related to sea stars, aren't they?
Yep.
Ooh, that feels kind of crazy, all its little tentacles grabbing onto me. Well, I think this is a great thing for our aquarium. Dylan, will you do me a favor and open up the top here? All right, gonna put this brittle star down in here with his sea star cousins. There we go. All right, I got the aquarium. Let's keep searching.
The real secret to tide pool exploration is taking your time at every single pocket of water. And if you look real hard, there's a good chance something can be found.
I found 2 crabs right here in this little puddle. And these are green striped shore crabs. I'm gonna have Dylan come in and I'm gonna challenge him to catch them. Hey, Dylan!
What?
I found some crabs, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on in here, and guess what? You're gonna be the one that catches them.
Okay.
All right, I got one right there. Whoa, look at that. He's flaring his little pinchers up. Be careful. Woo, you are brave. Nice. Hold that up for the camera.
Take a look at that.
He doesn't want to. Oh, I got him, I got him, I got him. Oh, he's holding on. Get him. Got him. Nice catch. All right, I'll get the aquarium. That is one brave kid right there, reaching down into the water to pick up a crab. Put him in. Oh, yes. Okay, the aquarium's looking pretty good so far. We've got a brittle star, we've got some sea stars, we've got 2 striped shore crabs, and some great decorations.
You know what this aquarium could really use?
What's that?
An octopus.
Oh, I agree with you, Aiden. I think this aquarium needs an octopus. Should we keep searching?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
The boys ran ahead with excitement as they were determined to find an octopus, which can oftentimes be like finding a needle in a haystack. Camouflage is crucial to the existence of most animals, and whether it's being used to keep a predator concealed while stalking in the shadows, or a prey species hidden from the predator's attack, the creatures who specifically inhabit the shoreline boast some of the greatest hiding abilities in the world.
Oh, gosh, look at this. There's a goby right there up against that rock. Look, 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 look.
Oh, you
see it?
like perfectly.
That is perfect camouflage. I'm gonna try to slowly cut my hands around it and see if we can get it out of the water. Real slow. Oh, I think I got him.
Oh,
Yes!
nice.
Got it! That is a little goby! Awesome, Mark, can you see that?
Yeah.
Sweet, all right, can one of you open up the aquarium here?
I got it.
All right, get it for me, buddy. Aquarium is open and goby is in. We got it?
Nice.
Nice! Dude, this is excellent. Now we have a fish. There's only one thing left to add to this aquarium. You know what that is, right?
Octopus.
All right, who's gonna catch the octopus?
I will.
You're gonna catch it?
Yeah, I'm gonna
I'm
look.
pretty sure that I'm gonna catch it.
I'm gonna look.
You're gonna get it first?
Yeah.
All right, the race for the octopus is on.
The race didn't last much longer, as no more than a few yards from the goby, I spotted an octopus.
All right, this is exciting. I'm almost positive that there's an octopus under this rock. Just out of the corner of my eye, I saw a tentacle tucked back under there. Brought in the boys, and what I'm gonna do is slowly lift up the rock. Now, when I do this, I need you guys to gently scoop up the octopus so we can get it for the aquarium. Are you ready?
Yep.
This is what you guys are good at. So I'm gonna lift the rock, you guys get the octopus. Mark, you good?
Go for it.
All right, here we go.
You guys ready for this?
Yep.
They're fast?
Fingers crossed, come on, octopus. Real slow, real slow. There he
Oh,
is.
yep.
Oh, yes, yes, get it, get it, get it. Oh, it's on the bottom of the rock. Scoop it up, scoop it up. Wow. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Oh, he's gonna try to get back under the rock. You got him? Got him? Here, let's lift up the
stuck to
rock.
the rock?
He's stuck to the rock. Look at that. Okay, let's just look at him like that. Holy cow! There it is. That is a 2-spot octopus. All right, Aiden, put your hand in here. Let me see if I can get it to just slink onto your hand. Oh, look at those sticky tentacles. And octopus in the hand. Excellent. All right, I got the aquarium. Yeah. Oh, lid open, lid open. Dylan, get the lid. Get him in there. Yes.
Yeah! Right!
We have caught an octopus. That is a 2-spot octopus, and I am pretty sure that that caps off the best creature we can possibly find here in the tide pools. All right, let's go up here onto the rocks and take a look at all of our catches. Now this is my favorite part. This is almost like Halloween. It's like we went out, got all of the candy, and now we gotta sort through it and see what we've got. Okay, I'm gonna take the top of the aquarium off. First, let's go for this crab, because it's right on the edge here. Don't pinch me, don't pinch me. Ah! Yup, he's pinching me. Ouch! Ah, wow, ow! He's got me good. Ah, look at that. Well, he's holding on to me while I'm holding on to him. Now that is a striped shore crab, and that thing is beautiful. Look at that green and black striping. You see blowing bubbles at me. Ooh, boy, you almost popped a hole in my finger. All right, let's see if I can just get him to balance from hand to hand. Wow, so you guys catch these crabs all the time and you don't get pinched by them?
Not really, no.
Of course, it's me that comes out here and gets pinched every single time. All right, let's see what else we've got in here. All right, Dylan, what do you want me to take out next?
The brittle star.
Brittle star, let's find it. I think it's hiding under here. Oh, there it is. Try to get it here. Got it. Okay. Wow, look at that.
Perry, I always thought that was just a sea star. What's the difference?
A brittle star is very ambidextrous. You can see that its arms allow it to crawl much more quickly over any surface, while a sea star pretty much stays planted in one spot. Look at that. It almost looks like a mix between a sea star and a spider. Now, Aiden, what do you think this creature looks like?
It looks kind of like an alien.
It does look like an alien, doesn't it? And I think that all the creatures of the tide pools look like they're from another planet. All right, let's put this one back into the aquarium and take something else out. Ready? You want to put him in?
Yep.
There you go. Set him in there gently. Okay, what should we take out next? You think we can get the goby out of there?
Now, what is a goby?
A goby is a little bottom-feeding fish, and it's probably going to be fairly hard to get him out of here. There we go. I got it. There we go.
Nice.
Only keep him out of the water for a second. Look at that.
He's got buggy eyes.
He sure does have buggy eyes. Have you guys ever caught a goby before?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Is this a big goby or a small goby?
Well, compared to the ones we find, big.
It's a big one?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'd say that is a perfect creature to have in our aquarium then. And it sure was fast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get the goby back into the water. There you go, little fish. Okay, and last but not least, it is octopus time. All right, let me see if I can get it up off the corner here. Whoa, squirt me with water. Wow, the 2-spot octopus. Look at those eyes, looking right back at us. And it is saying, whoa, let me back into the water. And they're so slimy. Go ahead, put your fingers in here. And you guys handle these things all the time, right?
Yep.
Woo, it's amazing how fast that they can slither from one hand to the next. Whoops, trying to get away from us. Bring it back up here. Now, have you guys ever been inked by an octopus?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have? Is that gross?
A lot. A lot. He's been
You get inked a lot?
many times.
I have yet to be inked by an octopus, and I don't think that I want to be. Well, this is pretty awesome, and I think at this point we need to get all these creatures back into the ocean. What do you think?
Yep.
Sounds good to me. Well, I would consider this a complete success. We came across so many creatures today, guys. Sea stars, brittle stars, crabs, and even a 2-spot octopus. Aiden, Dylan, thank you guys so much for having me right out here to your backyard exploring the tide pools of California. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave.
Stay wild.
We'll see you on the next adventure.
Searching for and admiring tide pool creatures is a great way to enjoy nature. However, some sea creatures are venomous, and if you are going to attempt handling one, always remember that it's important to properly identify a species before picking it up. At some point in life, we have all feared being bitten by a vampire. Thankfully, fear is often replaced by logic, because we know vampires are just creatures from folklore. But if you are a fish living in the Great Lakes, that folklore is a nightmare that is all too real. Speedy, slimy, and armed with a suction-cup mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. The sea lamprey is nature's largest parasitic, blood-sucking creature. And today, we are going to find out just how horrific a swarm of 1,000 sea lamprey can be.
Now, in the past, we tried an experiment to get me eaten alive by sea lamprey. And to do that, we placed my hands into a tank filled with them. But nothing happened. They swam around and I didn't take a single bite. So to up the ante, we induced a suction, which involved me adhering one to my arm, one to my stomach, where you've got some guts, and of course, in horror film fashion style, we adhered one to my neck. Now, the thing was, the second these fish drew blood, they realized that I was a mammal. Not exactly the fish buffet line, which is exactly what they would want to be feeding on. So with our first experiments, what we learned is that sea lamprey do not eat human flesh. Today, we're going to perform something slightly different with two new experiments surrounding the concept of fight or flight. Now, this is something that you've probably heard of before in nature. Now, in almost all instances, when you encounter an animal, I'd say almost 100%, an animal is going to flee in the opposite direction. That's called flight. But if an animal finds itself in a situation that it can't get away from, that's where you have fight. You ever hear the phrase, don't back a badger into a corner? That's because badgers are armed with teeth and claws. You get a badger mad, trust me, you're gonna know about it. Now in this instance, we're going to introduce something known as an alarm cue pheromone. That pheromone causes sea lamprey to go absolutely berserk. You're probably wondering to yourself, well, Coyote, are you going to add this alarm cue to these sea lamprey? Yeah, guys, we absolutely are. But first I'm thinking, you want to know what exactly is an alarm cue pheromone? That is a great question.
More than a decade ago, scientists working with the Great Lakes Fishery Commission hypothesized that pheromones, which are natural odors that animals use to communicate, could disrupt the spawning activity of sea lamprey, helping to keep their populations in check. So how and why does it work? Well, at the end of a sea lamprey's life cycle, or during an attack from a predator, they release a natural scent that other sea lamprey interpret as the presence of death or danger. This alarm cue, the same one I am holding, immediately causes healthy sea lamprey to quickly avoid the area, sending them fleeing away from the perceived danger and ultimately pushing them out of certain environments. So what happens when you add the scent of death to a tank full of sea lamprey who have nowhere to run? That's a good question. Let's find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the alarm cue. That concoction right there is basically sea lamprey kryptonite. All right, here we go with the smell test. That is terrible. Absolutely terrible. And you want to know something? The sea lamprey has a better sense of smell than I do. I better give it one more sniff. Nope, That's it. I can exactly see without question why this would cause sea lamprey to run in the opposite direction. Practically makes me want to run in the opposite direction. Okay, this is it. Time to officially add 250 milliliters of alarm cue. 3, 2, alarm cue. Okay, it's starting to disperse. Whoa, 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 we've got action here. Things are starting to get crazy. Let's put the top back on. Wow, look at them swarming around the GoPro. Holy mackerel, look at this! Absolutely crazy. Seconds ago, before we added the alarm cue, they were completely still and calm. And now they are looking every which direction to try to escape from the aquarium. Whoa, they're hitting the glass. Now you may be thinking to yourselves, Coyote, aren't you gonna stick your hands in there and see if they'll shred them down to the bone, blood and guts and nastiness everywhere? Not quite, guys, because I think that now that we know the alarm cue works, it'll be much more entertaining and far more educational to actually place me into a dunk tank. Yes, that's right, a dunk tank with 1,000 sea lamprey. I go in, the alarm cue goes in and anything is possible. Stay tuned because part 2 of this experiment is going to be crazy.
Sea lamprey originally invaded the Great Lakes from the Atlantic Ocean through a series of man-made shipping canals in the 1800s. And without any predators or population control at the time, their numbers exploded. The battle to control invasive sea lamprey in the Great Lakes is hard fought, and the discovery of an alarm cue as a powerful repellent could be one more step toward placing a stake in the heart of these bloodthirsty vampire fish. So what happens when the applicator of the alarm finds themselves in a scenario where the sea lamprey cannot evade the perceived threat? This is the chaos you have been waiting for. And to perform the experiment, I have traveled to Millersburg, Michigan, where I'm once again working with my friends at the Hammond Bay Biological Station, a research laboratory jointly managed by the Great Lakes Fishery Commission and the U.S. Geological Survey. We have set up a classic carnival dunk tank, and it's been filled with 1,000 blood-sucking sea lamprey.
Okay, I am suited up. I have my red solo cup of alarm cue. It's time to get dunked into a tank full of vampire fish. Here we go. There's no turning back now. Beneath me is a dunk tank filled with 1,000 sea lamprey. And I gotta tell you, sitting in the hot seat looking down into them is a whole lot different than being outside of the tank. It's all of a sudden become very real. So here's what's gonna happen. Inside of this cup, I have alarm cue. As we saw earlier, adding alarm cue in with the sea lamprey causes them to go into a complete frenzy. You'll also notice that I'm wearing this brightly red colored life preserver. Now the reason for the life preserver is that if the lamprey attack and they start to adhere to my body, believe it or not, that weight could keep me underwater. So I've got a little tab here that I could pull to help me get to the surface. Hopefully that won't happen, but you never know when it comes to angry sea lamprey. Now, my goal is to stay in here for at least 2 minutes. However, if I'm being bitten and eaten alive, I may not make it that long. Okay, Mario, I'm gonna need you to come into the scene because what's gonna happen is you are gonna actually be the one who deploys me down and into the lamprey. And as soon as he hits that deployment button, the seat will drop and Coyote becomes the buffet line. You guys ready? Take off my flip-flops and I'm gonna put on a dive mask. I have no idea how crazy these lamprey are gonna get, but if we learned anything earlier, there's going to be splashing and tails absolutely everywhere. And for the comedic purposes, I might as well keep my hat on as well, because it'll be fun to see it go down beneath the lamprey. I'm Coyote Peterson, and I'm about to be eaten alive by sea lamprey. 3, 2, hit! Ah! 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 Oh, they're all around me. Oh, they're definitely biting onto my legs too. Oh, I feel like I am literally in an entire bath of slime right now, being eaten alive by aliens. Oh, oh, there's one adhered to my arm now. Look at this. They're biting onto my legs and my arms. Now that I'm not moving, the lamprey have come to a standstill. They've figured out that they're not able to escape, and they're also not attacking, which tells me that even with the alarm cue, sea lamprey are not necessarily going to eat humans alive. So while they may be completely alien looking in design, totally bizarre, and absolute living nightmares as vampire fish. Look at that. they have no interest in consuming humans. Even when I was in here, splashing around, thrashing left and right, absolutely nothing. All I wanted to do was simply escape. But what we have learned from the alarm cue is that it is incredibly effective when pushing lamprey in a certain direction. So the work that's being done with this research to drive lamprey out of river systems where they may become detrimental to fish or other native species is something that hopefully will work in the fight against sea lamprey. But when it comes to putting them inside of a dunk tank and getting them to eat a human alive, I can tell you firsthand, guys, it ain't gonna happen. So that tells the sea lamprey they're gonna stick to their diet of fish. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave. Stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure.
The battle to defeat sea lamprey in the Great Lakes is ongoing. But with the discovery of an Achilles heel, the sea lamprey's amazing sense of smell, scientists are taking a strong upper hand. By herding sea lamprey into specific areas using alarm cues, we may greatly reduce the need for lampricide treatments. Combined with trapping and cross-stream barriers to prevent spawning migrations, sea lamprey populations have declined by 90%, which ultimately results in healthier Great Lakes ecosystems. If you would like to learn more or have a desire to join the fight against the invasive sea lamprey, contact the Great Lakes Fishery Commission and help keep our lakes free of blood-sucking vampires. Over the course of my career, I have done some arguably crazy things, like being bitten intentionally by an alligator, or happily submitting myself to a sting from the Japanese giant hornet. All of my brushes with intense pain have been done in the name of science and education. So today's experiment loosely falls into those exact same categories. As an extreme educator, this is also the point where I tell you, never attempt to recreate the following science experiment. Thermopolis, Wyoming is without question one of the greatest locations the Brave Wilderness team and I have ever visited. It's a quaint little town, and with a population of around 3,000 people, it has an unforgettable charm. They are famous for many things, including the world-renowned Wyoming Dinosaur Center, where aspiring paleontologists can actually spend a day looking for fossils. Then you have Dairyland, which proudly boasts being the birthplace of pickle pops. Yep, this is where I set the world record for eating 10 of these salty treats in 30 minutes. As if dinosaurs and pickle pops weren't enough, Thermopolis also has a very catchy nickname, the Hot City, which is rightfully earned, as they stake claim to the world's largest mineral hot spring. Before we get hands-on with the hot springs for this brilliant experiment, first it's important that we understand the science behind these bubbling pools of beauty. These hot springs originate in the Owl Creek Mountains, where surface water, like rain and melting snow, seep down through layers of porous rock. As the water flows deeper into the earth, it's heated by a geothermal gradient. When the heated water reaches fractured rocks within the Thermopolis anticline, it's channeled back up to the surface, and voila, you have hot springs. But are these hot springs hot enough to make me breakfast?
We are just a few feet from the main source of Big Spring, which is the largest mineral spring in the entire United States. Now, this water, oh yeah, woo! Yeah, that is definitely hot. What we're gonna try to do today is find out whether or not a hot spring can boil an egg. What I've done in advance is prepare a couple of eggs. So you see this here? That is an egg in cheesecloth tied to a shoestring. Now we're going to try this experiment in 3 different time intervals. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and 30 minutes. This water stays at a consistent 127 degrees Fahrenheit. The actual boiling temperature of water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. To make hard-boiled eggs, you usually need to put a fresh egg inside of boiling water and keep it there for 10 minutes. So you may be saying to yourself, well, the math doesn't exactly add up. If you have to have boiling water to make hard-boiled eggs, how is this experiment going to work? Basically what we're going to do is keep the eggs in there longer than it would take to normally boil an egg and see what happens.
Boiling eggs in the hot springs is completely fitting because the entire area already smells like rotten eggs. That's not because thousands of people have tried this experiment before me, but instead as a result of gas bubbles rising to the surface that contain hydrogen sulfide. H2S is a colorless, poisonous, flammable, and corrosive chemical compound which has the distinct stench of rotten eggs. Talk about some delicious science.
All right, it has officially been 5 minutes, which means it's time to pull the first egg. And gently slice open the cheesecloth. Wow, it's really hot. Okay, there it is. Nope. Definitely not. Oh wow, it's hot. It's really hot. But it is definitely not hard-boiled. Not gonna be eating that one. I'm gonna actually just dump this off to the side here. We wait for another 10 minutes for egg number 2 to maybe finish cooking.
Hey Coyote, what time is it? I think it's been 10 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, actually it's been 11 minutes. Okay, we gotta check the second egg. Oh yeah, that is a hot egg right there. The shell is really soft, but it is definitely not hard-boiled. Hold on, let me crack it open. Oh, it's hot. Way more gelatinous though, look at that. Considerably thicker than the last egg. I can actually hold the entire thing in my palm. Okay, we're making some progress here. That is definitely starting to cook.
Long before I had the idea to boil eggs, and even before the arrival of fur traders in the West, Native Americans discovered the hot springs and referred to them as medicine waters. It was believed that these springs had incredible healing powers, which had the ability to cure everything from disease to gunshot wounds. Fast forward to the modern advancements in science, and today we know that the water in these springs has nearly 6 times the total dissolved solids found in drinking water, basically classifying these springs as a supercharged vitamin pill. Our first 2 eggs weren't exactly edible, but with any luck, our third egg is going to be the charm.
Ah, that is a hot egg right there. And it's just about my breakfast time, so I'm really hoping that this egg is cooked so I can actually eat it. There we go. There it is. An egg that has cooked for 30 minutes in a hot spring. Is it hard-boiled? I think there's a good chance. All right, here we go. 1, 2. Oh! No, not fully cooked, even after 30 minutes. Oh. Do you guys like your eggs extra runny? Oh no, it did not cook. Well, I guess that proves it. 127 degree Fahrenheit water is not capable, even after 30 minutes, of boiling an egg. All right, let me get some of this yolk off of me. Oh, it smells horrible. Gross.
Warning, never attempt to recreate the following experiment, as hot water can cause serious burns, trauma, and medical bills.
Okay, this is it. The moment you have all been waiting for. Am I capable of keeping my hands in the scalding water of this natural hot spring? Now keep in mind, this is 127 degrees Fahrenheit. Your hottest hot tub is probably around 104 degrees. So, am I gonna be able to keep my hands in there for 60 seconds? Not likely. 30 seconds? Maybe. 15 seconds? I think that's probably pretty fair. So if you guys are ready, I'm Coyote Peterson, and I'm about to enter the burn zone with a hot spring. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow, it gets hotter the deeper you go. Man, that is crazy hot. Holy cow. Wow. Unbelievable how hot that water is. Oh my gosh. I thought it might be able to last 60 seconds, but as soon as your fingers go down through the surface and get closer to the bottom, the water gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And I could actually feel the blood inside my fingers as if it was starting to boil. That was crazy. My hands are tingling right now from the intensity of that heat. I definitely say the takeaway from this episode is that first of all, this water is not hot enough to boil eggs. Even after 30 minutes, our science experiment failed. And when it comes down to the ridiculous nature of actually placing my hands into the hot springs, I know that was entertaining, but guys, it is all about safety. These hot springs are incredibly hot. If you were to fall into this water or just place your hands into there for too long, you could face a serious burn situation. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave. Stay wild. We'll see you on the next adventure.
If you get the chance to visit Hot Springs State Park, make sure that you stick to the designated trails and definitely admire its bubbling hot springs from a safe distance. If you love animals, make sure to search for the Brave Wilderness channel on YouTube so you can join me and the crew on our next big adventure.